There is no more good time to buy a Rolex. We talk about that all the time. That is gone.
Yep.
I also want to hear how you got scammed by a British person.
By a British guy.
And I want to hear about the watch market bubble that I think is happening, not on reselling, on retail.
Today's going to be an interesting conversation. Let's do it. What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael, and today we are banging out a Q&A. I am the Q, you are the A.
I love the good old-fashioned Q&As. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, these are fun. Obviously, we'll hit with the hardest one first about good time to buy a Rolex, but there's a bunch of other fun ones, some about you, some not about you.
Exciting.
I think Q&A is great. It gives us such a good excuse to clickbait.
100%.
Talk about something.
You can ask me anything.
You just looked at me so earnestly. 100%.
100%.
I love that. Okay, first one. I want to hit with the hardest one. There is no more good time to buy a Rolex. We have talked about this now for 3 years, you and me. When we first started, it was decidedly not a good time.
Right.
Because prices were high, you could never get one. And then all of a sudden it was a good time because demand went down.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't, then it was. We're talking about really the reselling market, but also buying from Rolex directly.
I think right now is becoming a really good time to buy plenty of brands. Plenty. Like, you know, and I just don't think Rolex is one of them. I do think if you like a certain set of Rolexes that are not really so hotly desired, then it's a good time.
Okay.
Right? Like, I think it's a great time to like buy, like I've said this before, like a white gold day-date. Those are hard to move. I think they're great watches. You get a bunch of flex and you're kind of getting it for retail. Again, I think you can get one. I think you can get a white gold olive dial. And a year ago, that was impossible.
Okay.
It was impossible.
Same with the Daytona.
Same with it. Yeah. And well, look at again, I don't think it's a good time to buy the green dial John Mayer Daytona. I don't think it's a good time to buy that watch because it's still $60,000 and the retail was $40,000. But like, it's a 50% increase, right? It's a lot of premium, right?
Right.
But if you want to zoom out a little bit, it's very possibly going to be a good investment in the long run. I think it very well could be a $90,000 watch at like when everything equals out down the road. It's discontinued. They're kind of uncommon. They're really specific. Like, I think it works. I think that watch plays.
Sub question for you.
Sure.
Obviously, I think there's one other Daytona we refer to exclusively by the celebrity name, Paul Newman.
Paul Newman.
Now I'm seeing in the comments, people are like, I don't even know who Paul Newman is, which is insane.
I know.
Because I don't think of us as that old. Do you think John Mayer Daytona is going to get to the same level of notoriety as Paul Newman? Not in terms of people like dying to get one, because that was a specific era to Rolex.
Yeah.
But in terms of like 40 years, 50 years from now, people are going to be like, I don't even know who John Mayer is, but like, that's a cool John Mayer Daytona.
For sure.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's crazy.
100%. And I think that there's a lot of things, you know, there. And one is that there was such an obvious watch. Like the watch is so, it's unmissable.
Yeah.
Which is huge, right? When you're talking about little nuanced details, you're talking about a small amount of people that will recognize them.
Yep.
Right? It's like, you know, it's like anything else.
Bart Simpson dial. You're like, what is that?
What the fuck you talking about? Like, I need to be really into Rolex to understand that? I'm out. Right? It's the color of money and yellow gold. We're good. I'm in. And it's a Daytona. That's an obvious, easily understandable, easily communicatable, you know, a watch.
So you think forever it will be called John Mayer Daytona?
Forever.
Wow. Okay, then.
And I also don't think that he's as obsessed with fame. Like he's not. Like he's actually kind of cool. Like he's kind of chill. So I don't think that like I don't know how motivated he is to like become, you know, more of an icon that is like just totally unforgettable. I don't think he's that guy.
Well, that's the interesting part is like you're like, oh well, Paul Newman was an actor, a race car driver, has this cool like nonprofit company, all this. Like you go back, the history of the John Mayer Daytona in 40, 50 years would be like, well, he was a musician, he was really into watches, and he was on Hodinkee. That's weird to talk about like in 50 years in the future there.
For sure.
But wrapping that question up, this exact question, it's posed as a statement, but you know what I mean. There is no more good time to buy a Rolex. Yes or no? Will there ever be like, well, okay, we're back. Or not even we're back, but it's now is the good time depending on that price.
I know. I don't think it'll ever be a good time to buy a Rolex ever again. I think that, again, if you like watches that are kind of undesirable, that's good.
Yep.
That's just good. It's lucky you. But I don't think there will be a good time to buy a Rolex. I think that it's a good time to buy a Journe right now.
Really?
Oh yeah. Really? Oh yeah. Are you not familiar with what's going on with Journe?
No.
Oh, it's a whole separate issue. Oh, you asked me if there was anything hot topic. There you go. And I've told you.
We'll do the next.
We'll do the next. Yeah. I think that they're. I think it's a good time to buy a Journe. I think it's a good time to buy plenty of other things.
The way you said that and looked at me, I know it's going to be a great video.
It's a good one. So I think that there's a lot of things there, but no. So as Rolex is concerned, I don't really think so. I don't think it'll ever be a good time to buy like a sports Patek again. I don't think it'll ever be a good time to buy a Tiffany Patek again. I don't think there'll ever be a good time. There's
just too much knowledge in the watch
world. There's just too much knowledge in the watch world, and the production on a lot of these things is not high enough. It's just not high enough.
Yeah.
So. But even though Rolex is incredibly mass produced, like, which is kind of funny, they're the exception.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Pateks. There's 60,000 Pateks are made a year. It's just not how many sport model Pateks. We're talking about thousands of watches.
Right.
We're not talking about 700,000.
Exactly.
What is it? 1.2 million Rolexes are made. Come on.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the same way about AP particularly. Like I think that I think that AP is far more within, like, as a brand, far more within like the realm of at risk all the time.
At risk in what way?
At risk of just not being it tomorrow.
I fully agree.
Gettable.
I fully agree. When you look at, I always use the DJ Royal Oak as an example, or offshore, I think. That, to me, when I saw that watch, and the Spider-Man kind of exceptionalized, that's a concept watch. It's $250,000, whatever.
Yep. I
looked at that and was like, oh, this is very not timeless. This is very much like, you will look at that and say, that is from 2020.
Yeah.
And you will always know that.
Yes,
which means
100%.
the design could easily die.
100%. I definitely agree. And again, that doesn't mean you can't like the watch.
Yeah, of course.
But it does mean something to like our perception or of like the trajectory of the brand,
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think that you should not want to buy a Royal Oak. They're great watches. I think that they should be like kind of gettable. I think that you should be able to, get a Royal Oak within a couple of months of seriously asking for one if you have a vacation, I think that AP really, they really bought into their own really fast.
Really? Wow. Well, we'll do a video on that soon.
Yeah.
Next up, this is it's a question where your past history of almost becoming a lawyer is going to probably plague you because you're going to be like, well, what do we consider this and what do we consider that? But this is a statement.
You would love to date me.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell by all of your past lovers.
Michael and I'll tell Michael literally any story about anything ever. And he doesn't tell me to stop, so I guess he finds it funny.
Yeah.
But the best part about my stories is, I don't know, when's the last time I told you a story that made me look good?
No,
it's always self-deprecating because I can't wait to tell you, because I feel like if I make fun of it.
Story today, yeah.
I can't wait to just be like, it's out there and nothing we can do about it now.
Well, can't stop it. And especially if it comes to me from another source, I'll be like, I already know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
If anyone ever tells you anything embarrassing about me and you don't already know it, that would be a cold day in hell.
That's a lie.
That would be a cold day in hell. You're like, I already know that this happened.
I know. I was actually there. They're like, ew. I'm like, well, I had
disgusting.
to be. I was filming.
Like, why didn't you help us? I was filming. Okay, yes.
Okay, we are past the point of groundbreaking innovation in the watch world.
Right.
I'm talking about, it was originally like, wow, look, you can swim with this watch. Wow, look, it's actually very accurate. Wow, look, it's shock resistant, shock proof, whatever it may be. Now we are at the stage where I think there's one thing left. I think it's scratching of a case.
I know.
But other than that, we have watches that are plus or minus a second a day. Like, that is basically perfect. What's left?
Where
and
do you
obviously,
go?
We don't know. It's not like you could be like, well, it's this thing. But I don't see Rolex releasing a crazy new feature that everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even Omega, who's considered by Swatch Group as the pioneer brand in the industry. I'm like, okay, so I guess what you're releasing in a very niche world is cool, but like your movement is already anti-magnetic, already MEDAS certified. Like, what else can you do? MEDAS?
Metas. It's Matas.
Oh, let's watch this Matas.
Hi, Matas. How are you? How are you? It's a pleasure. I think you're right. Where I think that you're wrong is that I don't think anyone gives a shit anyway.
True.
That's it. Like, at scale, who really cares about technology and watch?
Who is missing something from their watch?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Next question.
We like culture. We like design. We like buying what makes us feel the way that we want to feel, which is generally like rich, and the definition of that changes all the time, or you know, it somewhat predictably changes for sure.
True.
So yeah, nothing. It's completely emotional. Emotions will never change.
Yeah.
We are human. I think Rolex does a great deal. I know Rolex does a great deal to make their watches better every year.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah. I also don't think that's at all why they're famous.
Yeah. You know exactly.
At all.
Exactly. Okay. That is a part one of a discussion we're kind of thread throughout this with different aspects of that idea.
That sounds terrific. I can't
wow, that's amazing.
I think we're past the point of innovation. We're in the era of a kind of appreciation of things for more cultural reasons, right? Like, you know, whether it's design or importance to some sort of events or
celebrities,
you know, history.
The watch is named after a celebrity. It's worth way more.
And that's why the prices have just skyrocketed. That's why watches have become, you know, so collectible and basically unaffordable, right? Or at least for most individuals, right? So, I mean, some people fine, but it's why you just can't touch them, right? Yeah. Very similar. Obviously, you've seen it in the art world, right? I mean, these paintings by the major players,
Picasso, Banksy, Monet.
You can't touch them. You can't
touch this. MC Hammer.
You can't touch them, which is, you know, why obviously Masterworks has kind of come through with this, you know, innovative approach to investing in art, which is this idea of fractional ownership, right? Yes. That you know, a whole bunch of individuals, like the Masterworks community, together can get in on this wave, can get in on a piece by Banksy or Picasso or Monet. Right, that is kind of the future of investing in that luxury space, which is becoming more popular by the day.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, the 2023 UBS Art Market Report says 77% of high net worth collectors are optimistic about the global art market. Only 6% are pessimistic.
Masterworks actually just recently made major headlines after, you know, announcing their $36 million offering.
Wow, that was a Basquiat piece on their platform, their largest acquisition to date. Each of their 16 exits thus far have delivered a profit to their investors.
Yeah, the statistics have been updated recently, and blue chip whole contemporary art has actually outpaced the S&P 500 by 136%.
So thank you, Masterworks, for sponsoring this video. Masterworks has now over 800,000 users and $940 million in assets under management. Offerings have sold out in minutes, but our subscribers, our followers, can still skip the waitlist by following the link in the description.
Sounds terrific. I highly recommend you go do that and take a look at the Masterworks platform.
You know, after you drink that wine, you really loosened up.
I did, didn't I? Yeah. I'm not in a great place.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm very stressed.
Well, the next question is actually, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm incredibly stressed all the time. Yeah, I'm incredibly stressed all the time.
About what?
I don't know. I don't know.
If I knew, I wouldn't be stressed.
If I knew, I wouldn't be stressed. Yeah. I go out too much at night, so that means I leave my dog at my mom's house too often.
Makes
me feel like a neglectful father, and I hate that.
Lincoln loves you.
Yeah, I can never tell friends no when they want to do something. I always need to do it.
Oh, we have a great story about that.
Always. Which one?
We hid you. I said that like people were in the room.
Yeah.
Under the seat of a bus to avoid someone that was going to ask you to hang out with them.
That is true. Yes. I can't do it. So that's why I'm always out. And it's with like great friends. I don't mean like random people. I don't spend time with random people.
Yeah.
But like I've got a couple of very good friends, very small group.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like whenever they want to do something, I have to do it. I feel like I have to. So that's very stressful. You know, work is rather stressful.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, this was stressful. Yeah. I feel very good and like everything is going well, and I'm very proud sense.
Yeah.
That's good. But every day when my list is incredibly long, you're used to this. I'm not.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not looking forward to this day at all.
Yeah, you wake up running and you're behind, and then everybody around you is slowly being like, where is this? Where's that? Where's that happening? Where are you?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, definitely wouldn't want to trade places with anybody. I love my life. I love being me. But I'm a little bit stressed at the moment. Thank you for asking.
You're supposed to say, I'm good. How are you? Okay, next up, obviously, we're not just going to gloss over that. I hope you're doing things that de-stress you too, like this. But tell me about this was a video that we actually just filmed. We're going to refilm, but you mentioned your British scam story, which I don't know that story.
You don't know the story?
No.
I started the business a couple years into the business, maybe like, let's say 3 years. I had like a really good, when things started working out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When things started working out, I was young. I was like 21.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, business was like making really good money.
You ate the cake.
Yeah, it was really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of sales. I was like, I can't believe I just sold that. Like, that is a big watch. That is for me at the time.
Sure, yeah.
Like let's say that was a $15,000 watch. Mm-hmm. And keeping in mind, like, this was my money. like a lot of other like watch dealers that have started up. Like, I know that you guys make fun of me because I have dad's money. I do not have any of daddy's money. I just don't. Right. It's just not true. So like, I was really stoked.
Yeah, well, it's like, at least I get my money back at the very least.
Right. So anyway, I sold a couple of watches and I was really, really happy. And I had a couple of really great months, and then it never stopped, right? It kept going well.
Yeah.
But the point is that it was at a changing, this was all happening. The business was growing very quickly at a time that I don't think that payment processors were keeping up with
online
theft and fraud with online e-commerce business.
Even now they don't really.
Shopify. I do really well now. Like I am a f***ing stalker when it comes to payment processing.
Yeah.
Because I've just gone through it, right?
Sure.
So long story short, I think it was $27,000 in this particular lot of watches.
It was a lot.
It was a couple. It was like, let's say 3 or 4 watches.
Sure.
Right. And that equaled about $27,000, maybe $30,000. And the what happened is I'm in the shower. It's Thanksgiving Day. Okay.
Love that day.
I'm in the shower. It's going to be a great day. I'm so excited. This would have been.
Macy's Day Parade is playing on your house?
Yeah, of course.
Then the dog show.
Yeah, exactly. And then the dog show. That's right.
Yep.
And this is probably the first holiday that I was like successul. Think about that, how beautiful that is.
Yeah, right.
There's a cornucopia, I'm like, wow, I'm becoming an adult. I'm naked. So happy.
Yeah.
And my phone just starts going off, like email at just a ridiculous rate. And it was because I was getting, let's say, 3 to 5 emails per fraud alert. So there were like 4 fraud alerts. So it was like 20
basically
emails
being
came in immediately.
Emergency, respond now,
exactly.
You must respond now.
And it turned out that, like I said, about $30,000 of the fraud was, of the sales were fraud. And that's really serious. Now, keep in mind, at the time, like the business was doing well.
Yeah.
But like my strategy in watches and in this part of the business was always just acquire. Like I owned a ton of watches.
Yeah. So you're out. So you're not sitting on cash.
Right. Like let's say I was only sitting on at the time, like let's say 10% of what I had.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it. So it wasn't a lot of cash. So what? Why am I being vague? $30,000 was stolen from me, and I probably only had $30,000 in cash.
Okay, sure.
So I had no more cash. Right. Like, you know what I mean? That's it. I'm out of cash.
Right.
Functionally, maybe I had another $5,000 or $8,000 left.
Sure.
Okay. Which is ironically how much I started my business with, $9,200. So anyway, long story short, which is too late. It's too late to make a long story short. But Stripe was the payment processor, and they failed. They absolutely were negligent, and they failed their processing duties.
Mm-hmm.
They had no fraud detection. They relied too heavily on the merchant,
Sure.
To detect fraud. And yet, even though they were putting the burden on the merchant, they were giving a thumbs up, and they were also not giving the merchant, myself, any sort of class or recommendation on how to detect fraud. So they're telling you, yeah, we gave the okay, but it's your job to detect fraud through our system. Well, great. You tell me when you gave me a course on how to detect fraud through your system. And you tell me why I ought to be better, why it's reasonable that I'd be better at detecting fraud in your system than you would. Right. So long story short, which I said for the 5th time, I get into a major battle with Stripe. They took
money's gone.
20 of the 29,000's gone. Okay. I was able to catch it and empty the account. So now Stripe and I are still in dispute over like $9,000. They'll never call me.
Yeah.
I called my friend who was a lawyer, and he and I talked through this, and I just put the most thoughtful series of correspondence, together in taking on Stripe. And it was like a really big deal in my life at the time.
Of course,
a really big deal. And what ultimately had happened was these guys were just using stolen credit cards, or they were using their buddy's credit card and saying it was stolen. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I did lose $20,000 about. Maybe it was like 19. I don't remember. But I also did tell Stripe to go f themselves for about 9,000, and they never collected. So I'm up $9,000.
What was you?
I'm down 20. Yeah, it was awful. It was really, really bad, dude. It was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving definitely on purpose.
Yeah, something like I don't know why, but like why do bad things always happen around the holidays? It's just awful. It's just
because they're like, oh, their phone's gonna be down, so like there'll be no records.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's just the same thing had happened to someone who was teaching me the diamond business. At the time, I wasn't trying to get into diamonds, but I was in the whole diamond jewelry world on 47th Street and on the Bowery and all that world. And her father was a very famous murderer, very famous.
Adolf Stripe.
Yeah. And like a scary person. And she said, because she had just gotten robbed. She had just got the same scam happened to her like the same week.
Wow.
Right. And she goes to me, we're all talking, and she's how upset she is, and she goes, "If my father was around, he would have fucking killed this cocksucker."
Oh my!
And I was like, "That is probably true."
Yeah,
that is probably true.
And you wouldn't have minded.
No, I would have loved it.
You would have had a justice is served. England.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, we always talk about bubbles on the secondary market.
But I'd like to blow bubbles in your belly. I'm like, what?
I'd like to blow raspberries on your belly button.
I was watching Iron Snail last night.
Oh yeah,
and you were doing the voice in the video with the boots.
With the boots.
You were like, bootsy wootsy, toesy woesy. I was fucking dying.
I put my sake walkies on because I get blisty wisties.
I was like, oh my God.
Some people got really mad.
Why aren't I on that log with him?
I'm putting on your shoes. I'm tying your boots.
Those were cool boots.
Those are sick boots.
Yeah, they were cool.
They were crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
You should get a pair.
How much were they?
$600.
I won't get a pair, but they are nice.
But the heel's like this thick. So
yeah, the only thing I didn't like about those boots was the profile of the toe kind of curves up a little bit.
Yeah,
that was a little bit elfish to me.
Yeah.
But the rest, I love the
rough out. The kilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the kilt.
Yeah, kilt is sick.
I have a pair of Gucci loafers with a kilt. Nice. Black suede Gucci loafers with a kilt.
So not on the secondary market, on the primary market, JLC always comes up because they raise prices like 40%. With the rapid rise of prices in the watch world, it's basically the watch world being like, oh, we can charge 8 instead of 6 for this. People are going to keep coming. Is there something that you think could happen because of that as a result?
Oh, of course.
Something big, not like, oh, well, it'll slowly slow down.
No, it's a predictable result. It's like they're opening up too many boutiques.
Yep.
The boutiques will close. Be a disaster.
Yep.
Right? Like,
you think the boutiques is the big thing right now?
Boutiques are going to close.
Yeah.
Now, all these brands, Banner Eye, JLC, everyone's opening up boutiques. They're all going to close.
Self-owned boutiques, they're done with the, right.
They're all going to close. They're all going to fucking close.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to be a disaster. And you're going to get, and what's going to happen before the close? Discounts again. Right? The watch world has worked so hard to get away from the discount world.
Yeah.
And they're going to find themselves right fucking back in it. I can guarantee you that will happen.
We talked to a guy.
You idiots. You just don't know when you've got it good.
Yeah.
You don't know. You've worked so hard. You worked so hard to do better, and now you're going to go and get greedy.
Yeah,
like that's so stupid. And the reason it upsets me is because you love the watch brands. Like they're great.
Yeah,
like, I want to see them do well.
Yeah,
because if they do well, then we all like our hobby gets better.
Yeah.
No,
we had a guy we talked to a while ago that worked at not an AD, at an actual watch brand, and he was like, "Yeah, we usually get like 1 or 2 people in a day." Like, but I've started to actually go outside and try and get people to come in. Like I try to convince them to like, just come take a look and stuff like that. And you and I were like,
that's not good.
That's what you do for like things that aren't a $12,000 gold watch.
Right. Exactly. No, 100%. That's what they'll find themselves back in. No one needs watches. Watches are useless. Watches are a bad investment. Watches are almost entirely emotional.
Watches are,
entirely emotional.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that these brands don't treat them as such, that they don't treat them as like not necessities.
Yeah.
And it's like almost like you're lucky if you get it. They are totally seeing it the wrong way.
There's completely 3-4 brands that can do that. Mm-hmm. I'd say probably total.
Yeah. It's like it's across all industries, of course, but it's particularly bad in watches. Like when the business gets slow, they stop marketing.
Oh.
That's what it's the first thing you cut is marketing.
Of course.
First thing you cut is marketing. Bad.
Yeah.
Because nothing matters but sales.
Right.
Nothing. So you said, so you're not getting enough sales, so let's close the funnel. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I'm maybe saying be more attentive with your budget, take better care of your budget, sure. Maybe call your partners and make it clear that, like, listen, we've been a little bit lax for the last 2 years. We can't afford to be that way anymore. We love you. We want to continue our relationship, but here are some new terms, right? And we'll keep spending money, yep. But we need a larger KPIs. Like, sure. That is fine. But the idea that they just stop marketing is fucking insane.
That's a death spiral.
It's a death spiral, and that's what happens with these brands.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of these brands in this very intense kind of area,
we should. There's so many things we could talk about. We need to do another episode, like honestly, for the zero. Like, yeah. Maybe later. Maybe we'll do it after this, and just do like a 30-minute hot topic, because I can't talk about the brands in public. Yeah, right, like there's a particular brand right now that I really want to talk about that I can't, and because it's just not nice. It's just not nice. Right. So anyway, go join the Zero, which is our podcast community. Post podcast every week. We do community posts. We do engagement. I actually have a call today with a double zero. We do like welcome, like meet and greets. So sign up for the Zero. Join our community. And it's getting larger and larger every day. So I'd love to see you on over there. No, she didn't. And that's it. If you do join, shoot me a DM, and I'd love to talk to you guys about watches. Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much. And I love sharing them with you.
99% of watch brands are just pulling parts off the shelf and changing the color of their dials once a year. This is specifically...
Agree or disagree?
Agree or disagree? I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And by off the shelf, I mean the one thing I always say is if there's a chronograph on the market, it is usually 14.5 millimeters.
You know how you know you're rich? You just said chronograph. That's how rich people talk.
Yeah, it is true.
That's wealth.
But they're always a thick watch, and it comes down to being like, well, you're just not tooling new parts or making new parts to make a thinner watch. Yes. So you're not putting in the money for that. So that larger thing is like, well, enough people buy it. So like, yeah, we'll just take that off the shelf movement, that off the shelf bezel, that off the shelf case, put it together, make it green this year, red next year, black next year. Yeah, I agree. But I also, the follow-up is like, well, that's kind of okay sometimes, so long as we're not pretending as if you're reinventing the wheel. Sure, I don't know if you reinvent the wheel. You can just tidy things up a little bit, clean house a little bit, and that's fine, and that's worth owning, right? Like, yeah. I think that's good. I bought a new watch, by the way. I'll show you later. Well, you're gonna love it. Really? Yeah, it's amazing. I'm trying to think of what watch. You're never gonna guess it. It's not still Daytona. No. Come on, dude. No, that's way cooler. That's Let's see if you can guess it. I'll give you 3 questions. Okay. Is it... Don't ask if it's precious metal. You obviously... No, yeah. Is it a common brand? Yes. Okay. Do I have to guess the brand or the exact watch? Will I know the exact watch? You know it exists, but you're never going to guess it. Wait, the brand or the watch? You can guess the watch. I don't think you'll guess the exact watch. Okay. So it's a brand everybody knows. Yep. Is it a brand a watch novice would know? It's a conglomerate-owned brand. It's a popular brand. I should have asked that. That's okay. I'll keep you with you. That was one question. Okay, one question. I'm trying to think of one that will just nail everything down. Obviously, price would be a good place to go with this. Well, here's prices. No, because it'll help you understand where I'm talking about. Okay. Because right now you could be anywhere from $2,000 to $50,000 in your. But I know it's not $2,000. Yeah. Okay, what's the price? About $10,000. About $10,000. Precious metal, $10,000. Conglomerate-owned brand. You can get it. My last question. Is it a typical Christian brand? I've never had one in my collection, but you have. I have. Wow. You never had the brand in your collection? One time a long time ago. I wouldn't know. You do know about that, but it's not the same model. I've had a huge collection. Do you want me to just tell you? Yeah. I got a white gold Reverso. No.
Cool, right?
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Gray
Was not
flips
going
the
reversal
salmon.
route. Nice.
Yeah. It's
nice.
cool, right?
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. We'll see if I keep it. I don't know. I mean, who knows if I like really jive with it? Who knows if I fall in love with it?
Yeah.
But
who knows if you really jive with it? You're gonna get your jalopy after this.
But I think it's really cool. I think it's really, really cool, and it's super cloudy. Like it's
wow,
you know, it's
sick.
unpolished. It's it's
cool.
worn. It's cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
The thing is, I'm just not a huge salmon dial guy all the time. Like I love the Longines Master salmon because it's like saturated. Yeah. But when a salmon is washed out, it's kind of tough. Like I'm a king salmon guy. I'm not even making a joke. A king salmon has a really rich saturated color that I really like. Yeah. But once you're talking about, you know, like a lighter, like a farm raised salmon kind of thing, you know.
Sometimes salmon
just lighter.
Salmon fillets are dyed.
I believe that. Yeah, that's one thing, you know, like totally believe. I don't trust any corporations.
I don't trust salmon. This is a loaded question because you could answer either way. Well, you could always, whatever.
You could also not answer.
You could also just, if you don't want to say it. Celebrities have ruined watch collecting as a whole.
No, I won't say that. I
would say, if anything, they made it more tense.
Like John Mayer, like made watch collecting.
Exactly.
Like he made it. You know. Period. Yeah. I think that LeBron James is an asshole, but I think that Jay-Z and the value that Jay-Z has brought to the community counterbalances what LeBron James has done bad, and I think it outweighs it.
Most guys, I feel like now a stylist will put a watch on Tom Brady. Those guys like John Mayer, Ed Sheeran, whatever. Yep. I feel like they push it onto a whole new group of people, which makes watch collecting better, which makes people question why brands are raising their prices so fast, which all that. But I feel like it's a dead mix. That's why you can go either way so easily. Because then there's some where it's like, how many more celebrities are going to wear an AP and pump AP and Royal Oaks and stuff like that? Yeah. Versus how many celebrities are going to push the watch world and use their money to like get really interesting.
It's like anything else, you know. It's when a medium requires like a level of like attention and taste and intelligence. Yeah, like you with raw denim. That's a complex thing. A dumb person is not going to care or be able to grasp it. It's just the truth. Yeah. You know. Same thing with watches. They're complex. You know. Period. Right. So the amount of people that can be into it is always a little bit limited, and it's going to attract people for the wrong reasons. Who am I to say what the right reason is? Sure. I tend to think the wrong reason is you know, hyping it up, having this almost addict like need to like have the cool thing. I don't think that's healthy. Yeah, right. I think it's toxic, and I think it's bad for the market because it screws all the guys that actually want the watch. Like it screws everybody else. Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. This final question is the end of that ladder. Yep. So we said we're past the point of groundbreaking innovation in the watch world. We said 99% of watch brands are pulling parts off the shelf and changing color. And then the final one is, how can we kind of move on past that? So there's no other way for a brand to prove themselves in 2023, and the rules of how watches should look, function, etc. are all set in stone. Basically, all of these brands, they are where they are. They're not going to start moving past each other. I don't think that's true. I think that you'll always have mobility, you know, for sure. Yep. You know, I think that all the videos that we've made about Omega and Tudor are real. Yeah. You know, even though we always take a side. Oh, yeah, of course. Like we're playing, but it's definitely real. You know, it's people's jobs at stake, people's egos at stake. It matters. Yeah. And it will always change. And it's not just about, can I grow faster than the other person? Like, we also forget that brands make huge mistakes. Oh, yeah. Huge mistakes that set them back. Yeah. You know, not just on marketing fronts, not just on product fronts, but on distribution fronts. Like, there are so many things that are going on. Yeah. So I wrote all these, obviously, but I fully agree with you. I think real innovation ties back to what you said about, like, it doesn't matter if your watch is more water resistant now. Like, no one cares about that. I think people are looking for value and uniqueness. And if a brand can really push that, it doesn't matter where they are. They can use that, whatever watch it was, to lift themselves higher and higher. Obviously, a brand like Tissot, it's in the Swatch group, so it can't break to the next level. That's by design for Swatch. But we look at a brand like, this is very off course, but Studio Undone with their watermelon watch, their new watches and everything, that is a micro brand. But if they keep doing really aggressive things,
they could then use that to catapult them up and keep moving up. But they're taking dares that nobody else does in the industry for a price that no one else is hitting.
I would be really interested, and I don't think this will happen, but I'd be really interested to see what would happen if the same way that all these companies, like the mid-tier companies, make their certain very limited production expensive watches.
Sure.
Right? Like Omega's got a $200,000 Omega. Who the
$50,000 321 white gold.
Exactly. Like all that stuff is interesting, whatever. But I'd be interested to see what would happen if these brands, some of the more expensive brands, designed a product, a watch, I presume.
Yeah.
But it could be watch adjacent, like MB&F did with their toys. It could be non-adjacent. Sure. It could be adjacent. That was truly affordable.
What is truly
I'd be
affordable?
interested to see what a $5,000 Patek product would look like that everyone wants.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is we made a video about that because I said swatch, like Blancpain swatch is, I forget how much it was, $300, $400.
Yeah.
It's like, what if you did that collaboration at $5,000?
Right.
What happens?
What happens?
What do you make?
They sell out is what happens.
Oh, yeah.
They sell out immediately.
Yeah, I'd get one. You'd get one.
100%.
Same with the Speedmaster.
It'd be insane, you know? So I'm interested by that.
Yeah.
You know, because that is going to be, you know, the future of these watch houses, I think. It's not just on a how can we continue to improve our existing product, but I think it's how can we continue or begin to rethink the parameters of like product catalog. Like here's a good example. Like one of the early Hodinkee videos that I just really, really loved. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if I've ever showed it to you. And the reason I'm saying that you only would have seen it through me is just because it wasn't a successful video.
It's weird. Ben Clymer uploaded it just to his own personal YouTube. It's him with a flashlight in the dark and he keeps whispering things.
It was with a guy called Max Bernardini. Have you ever seen this video?
I don't think so.
Okay. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
It's super cool. And the point of the video was going into his like vintage watch shop, but the watch shop had a whole world of collectible items.
Cool.
Oh,
cool.
Dude. Knickknacks. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's just a guy that's obsessed with the mechanical movements in general.
It's not just
parts and stuff.
It just, One, like the big thing that he showed off was there was a little like tube, like a little metal tube. I think it was in sterling silver or yellow gold or something, and it popped out and became like almost like one of those head scratchers.
Oh, sure,
like
sure, yeah.
And it was a little tool for your pocket so that you can put it in your champagne and increase the effervescence.
Wow, wow.
And it was stamped Hermes.
Whoa.
Hermes used to make, or Cartier used to make a coin. You want to flip a coin?
Sure.
That was more of a cultural thing. I'll flip a coin on it. Well, what if you're a rich guy? Don't you just own a coin you keep in your pocket?
Right. And it's not a quarter.
It's a Cartier coin. And it's enameled in the front.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like, I think the richer we get, and I don't mean you and I mean as a society, we're near our end. So we're ultra decadent, right?
Yeah.
We're almost there. We agree on nothing.
We're really just cruise control right now.
Right.
Yep.
What do you, like, this is the ultimate expression of decadence. Right. It's not actually the most expensive thing because that still caters to only the uber wealthy, right? Like the $500,000 watch doesn't say that much about society. It really doesn't.
Because someone's going to buy it. Someone's going to buy it.
There are uber rich people in every society for all time.
Yes.
The more interesting commentary on wealth and how we relate to it in society would be if en masse people bought a $5,000 useless piece of shit. Not piece of shit, but
of course,
useless
a coin
thing.
Or whatever.
Coin. I don't know what it could be. I'm not an R&D on product end, right? But like Patek could make something for your office that is not on the nose. It's not just a desk clock that can't be,
of course.
But like something that is just absolutely creative and useless. You have an enameled
like thing that you could place down on your desk, like at a square that actually takes some space.
Who knows what it is, but there's something there that would be interesting. Like all of us dumb people with more money than sense would buy it. Yeah. And then they'd be sold out and you couldn't get it. And then there'd be wars over it. Yeah. Because it's affordable. Of course. So more people can fight over it.
We've talked about it before where it's like anybody in their right mind, if you own Patek and I came to you one day and we were trying to figure out how to expand or whatever, not that Patek's having this conversation, be like, okay, so it looks like the logical line for people through the years is like they start with G-Shock, they go to Seiko, then they go to Tudor, then they stop at Rolex, then they hit AP, then they hit us.
Right.
You'd be like, well, that's 7 different price tiers that we're not touching. So like, can we go 2 down?
Right.
Can we make 2 watches that are cheaper?
And the answer, isn't, is not compromising on quality because that'll ruin your brand, right? Like Vacheron has done very well in the last couple of years.
Yes.
And it's had absolutely nothing to do with their 53 line, their affordable line?
Yeah.
Nothing. It is a culturally irrelevant watch. Nobody cares.
Yep.
How much money has it made them? I don't know. Has it made them any money? I really have no idea. But on a cultural level, it's unimportant. It meant nothing to the brand.
Yep.
That's it. Like, so it's not just about producing a cheaper watch.
Right.
But in fact, I would say that if like Vacheron's doing well,
yeah,
I would say they survived the 53. That was a mistake.
Okay, sure.
Right. Whereas if they would have produced something that was, more, I don't know. It would. I don't know the answer. I don't know what the is it 53? Go to images.
56.
56.
The 56. Okay.
And it's not a bad watch.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter. It's not an important watch.
I think that watch, that's a classic, like from a really cool brand that you want to watch from, but it shows nothing of the brand. There's no level of value to it where you're like, well, that's Vacheron. Like nothing.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
That's just an ugly watch.
It's just whatever. Whether you like it or whatever.
Cool
that's it. And again, if you've got one and you love it, and it doesn't make it culturally important though. It just means it's a watch that you have that you like.
Sure.
That's it. Yep. So I'd be interested to see how these brands begin to not invent themselves, but kind of reestablish the borders.
Kind of grow as a business too. Yeah.
Because years ago, they did that. Right?
Yeah,
these brands were doing weirder shit.
Yeah.
And, we're at an era, I think that the brands will be rewarded for doing weird shit again.
I'd fully agree.
Because we're all too rich. Everybody. Like, you know what I mean. I'm sure there are people watching this that are going to resent that remark, but turn on the news, like go outside in a metropolitan city. People throw money away every day, all day. Have you had a cup of coffee lately? It's offensively expensive. I go out to get lunch or dinner and I generally don't think this, but sometimes I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How, like my dad, when I was growing up, couldn't have taken us to a regular, to a restaurant if it was today.
Sure.
Like,
of course, yeah.
We went to Lorenzo's down the block and for the four of us, it was like, and this was like on a Friday, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like $60. Now you go out and you use the bathroom and you get a glass of water and maybe a slice of pizza and it's like $135.
Oh yeah.
So we're living in an era where they would be rewarded for just being
truly
creative and smart because the bar is high. But they could be ridiculous.
Well, the bar's not even that high anymore.
Yeah, I
would argue that the bar's dusty in the corner. So it's like, even if it is high, it's like, well, we could probably just go under it for now.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's important though.
Yeah.
I think it's important. There's a lot of heritage in Tiffany with that. Like Tiffany's got good heritage.
Tiffany's, yeah.
Tiffany's useless items that are kind of made sterling silver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And that's where we're headed.
Well, cool. That was my last question.
Oh, that was a good episode.
That was fantastic.
That was fun. Thank you very much for that.
No
I enjoyed
problem,
that.
Bob.
I enjoyed that very much. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to join our podcast community over on the Zero, click down below and join us. I'd love to meet you on over there. Shoot me a DM if you do join. I'd love to talk watches. That's me answering. It's not some bot.
True.
But that's
not a British scammer.
Not a British scammer. That's it. See you guys soon. If you love watches like I do, if you think that they mean something more than the time, then head on over to theoandharris.com and shop our selection of vintage watches and handmade straps. They're unique and they're special, and once they're gone for good.